All right, lesson three, and then I'm done for today. A little Norwegian history. Scandinavians are great fishermen, and they have to be because, as in Norway, with only 3% land that's tillable, that means to you people who are impaired verbally, tillable means land that you can farm. So, with only 3% tillable land, you got to be good fishermen, or you don't eat, and pretty soon there's no more Norwegians. So anyway, so they become good fishermen, and then along they decided that it was easier to be a pirate than it was to be a fisherman. So that's when the Vikings come along, and the Vikings they did a lot of trading, but they did a lot of raiding too. And it was the Vikings. Matter of fact, that's how Russia got its name. A bunch of Vikings were settling on the Russian coast, what is now Russia, on the coast and on the rivers, and they were trading with other peoples, and they became known as the Rus. So when the Vikings left, the name stuck, and the land of the Rus became Russia. Now, I have a theory as to how all these beautiful women came to be in Norway and Sweden. You figure, here you are, there's 50 or 60 of you and your closest friends. Vikings were the bikers of the 8th century. So um, here you are with 50 or 60 of your closest friends, and you're rowing this wooden boat someplace to go kick some ass. And let's say you go to England, Ireland, mostly England. You row up, land your boat, and now whoever you see, you got to kick the shit out of, because there's no calling for reinforcements. Now this is where I think this came from. You look at English people today, and the English are not well known for being gorgeous people. Norwegians and Swedes are, but not the English. And here's why I think that happened. You just got done rowing a boat for 700 miles. You had to kick the crap out of everybody that got in front of you. And then it come time for pillaging, and you had to haul all this crap back to the boat. Now, if I was out wife hunting and decided I had to kill this woman's family in order to haul her back to my boat, in order to haul her back to Norway, am I going to go through all this crap and capture a woman that's not attractive? And that boat ride home is going to be ugly, because the whole ride there is going to be in your ear about what a low-life bastard you are. So the first couple of years of your marriage, it's not going to be so good anyway, until she realizes, oh shit, I'm not going home. So I either got to treat this guy nice, or I'm not going to eat. Or the next Viking that dies, when they burn him on his ship, I'll go with him. All right, so that's the early history. Then, Scandinavians aren't too terribly bright, and I can prove it. You figure all these Scandinavians decide they got to get out of Norway, they got to get out of Sweden, they got to go someplace better. So they gather up all their money and their guts, everything they own, and they come to the United States. Now, what's that? 3,000-mile boat trip? I don't know the numbers. I don't care. I'm just rattling off. Whatever it is, it's more than 2 days. And you're not coming back. You got to get it right the first time, because you don't have enough money. You don't have enough time to get back to Norway to save it all up again to come back someplace else. So you got to get it right the first time. So here they are. They finally get to the States, or to the colonies, or the States, whenever it was, because it was a constant bleed of people coming to this country. So now they've traveled all this time across the sea, and now they get to the States, and where do they go? Do they go down south where it's nice and warm? No. They go to Minnesota. They go to a land with incredibly cold, terrible winters. Matter of fact, Minnesota has more consecutive days below zero than Alaska does, because Alaska is warmed by the Pacific Ocean. The coastal water moving up warms Alaska. On the other hand, Minnesota is cooled off, if you can call it that, by the Arctic winds coming through Canada, and they are referred to as Alberta Clippers. So Minnesota and North Dakota have more days below zero in a winter than Alaska does. A lot of people don't realize that, but they can be mothers. So yeah, you got all these Norwegians that have made the boat trip, and now they're hoofing it all the way from New York or Boston, all the way across to Minnesota. They get to this land that only has like 2 inches of topsoil, that's got incredibly horseshit weather in the wintertime, right? Mosquitoes that are the size of sparrows in the summer. Indians that want to cut your throat when they see you, and they go, oh yeah, this is home. They left the land to come all that distance to a land that's just as screwed up as the place they left. Yeah, that's the Norwegian frame of mind. That's the way they do things. And you notice there's no Norwegian restaurants. You know why that is? They don't cook for shit. It took them 200 years to figure out spices, and that was pepper. Look at Norwegian food. The mainstay is a tortilla-like thing made out of potatoes, and it's called lefse. And it's rolled out. They're called rounds, but it's rolled out into like 16-inch or 18-inch diameter circles, like a pizza crust. But it's real thin, and it's soft. And they roll up. They spread potato or they spread butter on it and brown sugar and roll it up, or they'll spread jam on it or some kind of jellies, and they roll it up into a tube and fold one end over, and then they eat it like a sandwich. And I know that there's not much involved. They're just potatoes, a little salt, and I'm not a cook. I'm not a baker. But there's not a lot involved in this, okay? And you may not believe this, but you can make lefse wrong. I've had some that really just, I'm not doing that twice. Another thing that they eat is lutefisk. And lutefisk is cod, raw cod that has been soaked in lye. And they use it as a preservative. Now, not now, but back, 100, 200 years ago. Because they didn't have refrigeration and they couldn't, they didn't have farming to speak of. So how do you feed yourself? So they would pack these fish in lye to keep them from spoiling. And then when the fishing times were low and you still got to eat, then they would take this lye soaked cod and boil it to get all the lye out of it. And my mother used to make this lutefisk for my stepfather once or twice a year. And I remember coming home from school and opening the front door of the house. I'd smell that shit boiling on the stove. It was right back out the door. I'm going to McDonald's. You can't. It is terrible. And if you have enough nerve to look in the pot as it's boiling, there's a real thick brown foam that forms on the surface of the water as this fish is boiling the lie out of it. Oh yeah, it looks yummy. So now when you've got it done, you've got this gelatinous cooked fish. They put that on a plate. Then they put potatoes on the plate. Okay. So now you've got this white fish and white potatoes. And then they take a white flour gravy and they pour that over the potatoes and the fish. Talk about yummy and bland. Everything on the damn plate is white. Okay. If that's not bad enough, then they have a thing called klub. And klub is a small pieces of boiled pork. So you know how great that shit must taste. And then they wrap that in a potato dumpling or dough, flour dough dumpling, and boil that. So now you've got these flour dumplings with a little piece of boiled pork in the inside. They put those on your plate and they cover that with that flour cream gravy. Oh, that's yummy shit. That's all. I can't do any more. That's the end of the third one.